We will begin now with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That we've been using throughout the class of 2020 for the celebrations. Congratulations, students. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome each of you to the graduation of the class of 2020. I am happy to be associated with this remarkable group of young men and women who personify creativity, resilience, through adversity, and all that is truly right and good in our community. These are young people who have worked hard, played hard, respected and helped others, and shown their peers, school, and community what being outstanding citizens really means. This is a class I will never forget based on the many memories I have over the past 4 years. The creativity of their costumes and theme for their final Olympics were second to none. And the senior talent show showcased many of the other talents that we often don't see in the classroom. After watching them that Friday night in February, I was both impressed and amazed by their confidence, ability, and imagination. Their skills in acting, singing, dancing, and performing were truly inspiring. Most importantly, the song they chose for their class, Journeys, Don't Stop Believin', has been their theme, an anthem that helped carry them through these past few months of their final year at PMHS. The graduates here today are an elite group of young men and women. They are among the very best in the areas of academics, athletics, the arts, and service to the Pelham community. And speaking of service, I'd like to acknowledge the 6th class of 2020 students who have been chosen to serve in our military forces. These 6 graduates are Lucas Fredbeck, Luke Gould, Daniel Tabaz, Cassie Ventura, Benjamin Morfitt, and Madison Popovich. Also in this class are accomplished athletes, many of whom will be competing at the college level in swimming, rowing, soccer, and lacrosse, to name just a few. Members of this class have also been honored with awards of national world language exams, science research competitions, forensic speech, journalism, and in the visual and performing arts, along with countless other honors and recognitions they've received over the years. As each graduate has grown and matured during their high school years, they have witnessed a great deal of turmoil and uncertainties in our state, our country, and around the world. During the current pandemic, several of them have had to assume family responsibilities due to illness of family members, or took on jobs to help with the family's finances, or helped younger brothers and sisters with their schoolwork as their parents work from home. And some have witnessed and perhaps participated in a national and international movement for full justice for our fellow citizens. Members of this class have persevered when it was necessary to help and support their families, as well as help one another. They have accepted and overcome the many challenges, responsibilities, disruptions, and disappointments these last few months have affected this class and all of us. As a class, you've proven beyond a doubt that you truly care about each other. I've rarely seen the level of caring and the strength of bonds you have formed with each other. These kinds of bonds, I predict, will last a lifetime. As each of you looks back on your 4 years in high school, I hope you realize that the fun and friendships, the joys and sorrows, the troubles and accomplishments have helped prepare you for what awaits you next in a changing and challenging world. For this class, graduation is nearly an end nor a beginning. It is merely a pause in what will be a lifetime of adventure, achievement, self-discovery, and success. As you enter the next phase of your lives, remember to work hard, take pride in who you are, what you do, and be guided by the morals and ethics that you've learned from your teachers, coaches, and parents. I know that you will make a difference in the world, and I know you will make us all proud. In closing, I'd like to reiterate the advice that President Barack Obama offered in his speech last month to the class of 2020. Whether you realize it or not, you've got more roadmaps, more tools, more role models, more resources, more technology and talents than any generation before you. Please, you are in a better position to remake the world. Congratulations to the class of 2020. I wish you all the best in everything you do and everywhere you go. And now, I would like to introduce Isabelle Anderson, who will read her speech titled In Conclusion. Izzy.
Hi everyone. Honestly, I don't remember most of freshman year. I think I tried to block it out so I could forget just how painfully awkward it was. I remember big events like first football games, first Olympics, even though I think we'd all like to forget the famous freshman silly walk if we could. But the smaller details, I had trouble remembering. After racking my brain for a while, I came across a memory that stuck with me, and I wasn't really sure why. It was Mr. Schleifer's English class, and I had just gotten back a grade on an argumentative essay I wrote about Cyrano de Bergerac and his love for the beautiful Roxanne. Or, as Mr. Schleifer would sing, Roxanne! Come on, guys, like the Police song? We'd laugh along even though none of us knew what that song was. I got my essay back and I flipped through the pages, looking at the marks of red ink where I missed a comma or was praised for using a Schleifer vocab word, and everything seemed pretty normal. Until I got to the final paragraph. There was a big red line for the first two words of my final paragraph, in conclusion. I was baffled. How was this supposed to signify that this was indeed the end of my thoughts? How would the reader know they had made it to the end if I didn't tell them? Eventually, the bell rang and the class filed out the door, but I stayed behind to ask what I should say instead. He told me that a reader doesn't need to be told when the story is coming to a close. When you've written a good essay, the main points have been hit and the message has been given. The conclusion is just a nice way to tie everything together. Mr. Schleifer, I doubt you remember that conversation, but to this day, I have never used the words "in conclusion" on another essay. When we walked through the doors of PMHS on our first day of senior year, we all knew a part of our story was coming to a close. We attended our last football games, finally won an Olympics trophy, and a back-to-back silly walk victory. All our familiar storylines were slowly, steadily being resolved. And then, wouldn't you know it, a once-in-a-century global pandemic strikes. And on May 1st, a day that was supposed to be dedicated to celebrating our college decisions, we instead found out that we would never again return to Pell Memorial High School as students. We had already said our last goodbyes to our teachers and our principals, zipped up our backpacks, and walked out from under that massive clock tower for the very last time, and never even known we'd done it. It was heartbreaking. We would never get our last moments, our conclusion. I think the reason we treasure last moments so much is because they give us an occasion. A moment to take a breath, turn around, and look back across the landscape of all the things that have gotten us to this point and appreciate just how far we've come. It gives clarity to how all of our experiences have contoured and shaped us, charged us and changed us into the people we are today. Closure offers us a symbol, a totem that proves we made it, we did it, and nobody and nothing can ever take that away. What makes the class of 2020 so special is the fact that we didn't get our proper ending. We didn't get the closure we so deserved. Far from diminishing the value of our experiences though, this, in fact, has made me appreciate the true value of them even more. Prom, senior carnival, decision day, they're all additions to our experience. Is it upsetting we lost them? Yes, but does it diminish the value of our 4 years here? Absolutely not. The painfully awkward freshman year that I worked so hard to forget happened to everybody here today. We were all pushed into the school, stumbling like baby deer trying to get our footing, and now we're here, receiving our high school diplomas, and all the more secure for those lessons. It wasn't the events that brought us here, it was us. We grew from knowing each other. Other classes will never experience the true value of this. Not in this way, at least. Their final months were more than likely to blend into one big celebration with constant congratulations and cheers. But we didn't get them. We didn't get to pour our hearts into the traditionally last defining moments. They were taken from us. And so, we are forced instead to look back on our years at PMHS and appreciate how beautiful all of our experiences were, each and every one. When I reflect on my time here, I can see my feet climbing the steps of the double stairway, entering the bustling hallways that filled Monday through Friday for the past 4 years. The faces of my friends, the whispers of laughter in the halls, the familiar sound of a bell that tells us to find our seats. Lessons that were more than academic. From a friendship gone awry to a special connection with a teacher, a passing comment in the hall, grabbing coffee in between periods, or staying up to finish a research presentation. The wash of pride after finally receiving a 90 on an AP physics test. And, of course, the terrorizing fear of walking into the SAT for the very first time. These things made us who we are. These moments are ours to hold, and nothing can ever take that away. Our final months of high school were spent in reflection, giving a depth to our ending that traditional ones have been given. There will be moments in our lives that just feel unfair, like the universe has pitted itself against us and we can see no end in sight. But I know that the class of 2020 will take these challenges head on, more equipped than any class before or after it, and become something great. I know this because we did not define ourselves by what we lost, but by cherishing all we had. So what if we didn't get the classic high school ending? We got our ending. After all, no good story ends with the words, in conclusion. Congratulations to the class of 2020. I hope your future stories hold all the thrill, the hope, and the success of the story that we together share. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Daniel DeBaz.
like the intro to a movie. I'll set the scene. A lone camera follows me out of the band room. Crashing cymbals and scattered trumpet blasts fade as a chilly breeze smacks me in the face. I step outside for a brief moment to catch my breath and re-enter the high school. I stop and chat with the monitors for a minute, and a smile creeps across my face. As I head up the stairs, the soundtrack builds. Some late 2000s pop tune crackles over the muffled hum of the PA. Mr. Rothstein's voice cuts in and out. I lock eyes with a few of my buds. Handshakes are exchanged. Not cheap high fives, but business-like shakes. We like to keep it classy. The camera comes to an abrupt halt as I stop just short of my first period class. I catch up with a passing teacher, and then fade into the classroom. The scene closes, and you can just barely see the huge grin on my face. It's abnormal for a teenager to be laughing at 8 a.m. on a Monday. Most depictions of a sleepy American teen would lead you to believe that something catastrophic must happen to cause enough joy at such an ungodly hour to draw a smile out of an overworked, sleep-deprived high schooler. And yet, if you looked around my first period class on almost any given day this past year, I was never alone. Something special must take place to facilitate this phenomenon. Is the tap water in Pelham spiked with some potion that causes intense feelings of happiness and alertness in young adults? Certainly not. Is the oxygen in room 218 mixed with a rare gas that causes temporary memory loss of college application deadlines? I doubt it. The only logical conclusion is that the seniors of Pelham Memorial High School exist in a truly extraordinary place. After 4 years of investigating this hypothesis, I can confirm that there is something magical about this school. It can best be summed up in one word: community. Throughout my time at PMHS, I can never say I felt alone. And this isn't because I have a million friends who constantly shower me with love and kindness and affection. In fact, the opposite could be true, and I would still feel at home. This is the secret to our school's magic. This is why a class of drowsy teens can be so alert and joyful at the crack of dawn. It is the hard work of a multitude of teachers, administrators, parents, and coaches that allow for this marvel. Every single person that I have met who's involved with the school has a single concern at the forefront of their mind: the student. I've sat on countless committees where administrators have actually taken the time to collect student input on critical decisions and then really consider the arguments made. I've talked to many teachers who could be off working top-level corporate jobs, but who remain because they love students. I've had deep conversations with security monitors and custodians who didn't sign up to chat with a 17-year-old kid, but who have no idea how much of an impact they've made on my life. In fact, it would be difficult for me to walk the floor of the high school without stopping at least one person who's made a difference in my life. This community is what makes PMHS so special. I'll be the happiest man in the world if I can find a place where everyone cares as much about people as they do here. But I'm skeptical that place is out there. If the start of my day is like a movie's intro, that means the end of my day is like the credits. I guess graduation would be the final episode in the longest series of movies ever released. And unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, it won't be shot exactly as I imagined it. So let's all take some time, picture the perfect ceremony takes place. We're all on Franklin Field, I'm standing in my blue cap and gown, it looks pretty good. The camera pans from the sunny blue sky, which we didn't really hit on today, to a shot of me with my arms around family and friends posing for a picture. Proud teachers and bored siblings look on, and the shot fades over a landscape of the stone castle where we spent so many days together. What would my credits be? What would the end of my movie look like? There would be a list of every teacher who sat with me after class and humored me by listening to some crazy argument. They would be filled with screenshots of every wonderful tradition we have here at Home High School. They would acknowledge the employees who gave me my first job, who put in the extra hours, went past their job descriptions, taught me what service meant, and made me the young man I am today. They would be the longest credits you've ever seen. Thank you very much. It is now my privilege to introduce the PMHS Class of 2020 President and close friend after all.
I used to lay down in my backyard all the time, no matter how much my mom yelled at me from my window. The grass would be wet from having been watered and slightly itchy, but it never bothered me, because the real focus of my attention was the sky. some lucky nights, I'd be able to see a couple faint stars, the blinking lights of airplanes overhead, and of course, the brightest thing in the sky, the moon. There's something about the darkness, something that made me more reflective than I've ever been in my life. I'd stare out and dream of other worlds with strange creatures yearning to confirm their existence. I'd look into the night and there was a weight in my chest, expanding until I felt like I would explode. I'd feel so small, so insignificant, like my problems, my troubles, my worries, and my passions were a drop of water in the expansive ocean that is the universe. The night scared me with its possibilities, and for a while, I stopped thinking about the worlds that could be out there. Instead, I began to look inward, to the infinite amount of worlds stemming from within each and every one of ourselves. Ones consisting of our dreams and our hopes, ones where we relive our happiest memories. Our worlds branch between us and connect us to each other. Over the past 10 years, I've had the opportunity to share my many worlds with all of you, and in turn, you've done the same. I remember staying late to decorate the gym for the Olympics each year, trying our hardest to scream over the other grades. I remember hopping from FaceTime to FaceTime, attempting to explain molecular geometry to each other the night before a chem test. And I remember the last day in March, where we all thought we'd still be together and have our senior year. We've created memories through mutual delight and shared pain, and I'll treasure them, all of them, as we make our way onto the next milestones of our lives. Sometimes, like when you're alone with your thoughts, life can be a bit much. Right now, I know it's overwhelming, but there are people here who love you unconditionally and will miss you. These are the people that you've built worlds and lives with. It might be Mrs. Clark, your teachers, your parents, or your friends. Don't let anything keep you down when all these people are rooting for you to succeed. When I came here in the 3rd grade, this piece of suburbia welcomed me with open arms. Helen became my bubble. I understand that we're leaving and many of us will be separated by hundreds, if not thousands of miles. I hope that no matter how far apart we are, as we move on to create and join new worlds, we remember the countless ones we all shared during our time within the walls of the high school. Thank you, class of 2020. It was an honor to be your president. And now it is my great pleasure to welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Cheryl Champ.
Good afternoon and welcome. Board of Education President Ms. DiDomenico, members of the Board of Education, faculty, staff, families, and most importantly, our students, the Pelham Memorial High School class of 2020. As I begin, I want to recognize 2 individuals who have been with you all from the very start of your high school career. Mr. Rothstein, who will be leaving us after 5 years to pursue a new opportunity in his career, and Mrs. Clark, who after 16 incredible years as the Pelham Memorial High School principal is retiring. Without her dogged commitment to making sure that this class had a graduation ceremony together, we would not be here today. Together, they have brought a consistency and commitment to excellence to Pelham Memorial High School with a big dose of school spirit. I would like to wish them the absolute best in their next chapters and particularly congratulate Mrs. Clark on a truly remarkable career that has touched the lives of so many students. With you today as we mark the final milestone in your Pelham education, high school graduation, and in this most unique way. Just last year, I remember speaking with some of you about alternative locations for graduation. Let me assure you, this was not on the list of options. For the class that was made up of strong traditionalists, you wound up with the most non-traditional graduation ceremony in history. These past 3 months have changed us all in ways that we never knew were possible. They've stripped us of everything that we thought to be normal, and forced us to adapt, evolve, and change. It's been hard, to say the least. Your senior year was cut short overnight, and the world changed. But the class of 2020 is talented. You've excelled at the highest levels in almost everything you've pursued. Theater, music, the arts, athletics, science research, forensic speech, creative writing, just to name a few of the areas. But what has struck me most about this class of 234 students is your tenacity, your ability to persevere, and your commitment to making your world a better place. You have proven these traits again and again throughout your high school careers. When you walked out to take a stand against violence in schools, when you brought attention to our ecological footprint and demanded more action from your school and your elected officials, when you adapted on the fly to being relegated to learning from home and showed us how to function in a virtual world, and when you said enough is enough and organized vigils and marches to protest racial injustices both in your town and your country. In the face of everything that has happened to you as graduates, you have proven again and again your ability to adapt, to step up, and to commit to action. In that, you have demonstrated to us that you are ready for what comes next, be it college, the workforce, or the armed services. As I sought inspiration for my message to you today, I found myself turning back to reflective words of wisdom, originally penned by King Solomon and then crafted into a famous song by the Byrds. Turn, turn, turn. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to reap. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to laugh and a time to weep. A time to build up and a time to break down. A time to dance and a time to mourn. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time of love and a time of hate. A time of war, a time of peace. A time you may embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain and a time to lose. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time for love and a time for hate. A time for peace. I swear it's not too late. While this recent season has shown us so much in the way of mourning, weeping, and casting stones, I find hope in the fact that this is but a season. The seasons for healing, laughter, building up, gathering, embracing, love, and peace will come again soon. You were doing that before the onset of this pandemic, and I know with full confidence that you will continue to do that after it has passed. There has been so much talk over the past few months about what you as seniors have lost this school year, but I prefer to think about what you have gained. Opportunity comes from adversity. You've learned how to cope with very difficult situations. You've grappled with complex problems, and you've learned how to use your voice to make the world a better place. The year 2020 will likely be remembered for a pandemic and the great uncertainty that faced the entire world. But the class of 2020, however, will be remembered for who they were, what they cared about, and what they accomplished. I wish each of you much success and happiness as you weather the seasons of life ahead. Congratulations, class of 2020. And now I have the honor of presenting the Pella Memorial High School Memorial Tablet. This honor is one of the highest honors that our faculty bestows upon one male and one female senior each year based on the ideals and standards of Pella Memorial High School. This award is voted upon by the entire faculty, and each year's recipients from the inception of this award are listed in the Pella Memorial High School lobby. It is with great honor that I present this award today, and these plaques will be presented to these students they will be mailed to the students after the ceremony. So to begin, our first honoree. There are so many wonderful things that can be said about this young man, but the one that I often hear the most is his ability to laugh at himself. Over the years, he has stood out to his counselor as someone who has had plenty of conversations about where he would end up. And those conversations so often ended in him poking fun at himself for taking way too many classes, or trying to make the difficult decision of fitting in yet one more extracurricular activity in his already packed schedule. He has the uncanny ability to step outside of himself and look at the big picture, to truly understand what really matters in life. Academics, athletics, family, friendships, and the performing arts were all ingredients that he deemed necessary in his high school experience. That is why he took on such a rigorous course load, excelled, and still found time to dance on our stage, as well as spark a resurgence in the men's swimming program at our school. He can draw from these talents and shine in the various arenas that he shimmies or dives into. However, what many admire most about this young man is the relationship he has with his peers and family. The adults in the building notice when a young person warmly greets their friends. We notice when young people have a joking banter with parents and acknowledge their wisdom. These are all traits that make him such an amazing young man, and why we are honored this year to award this year's memorial tablet to Lance Brady. Lance Brady. Congratulations, Lance. Additionally, this year's female recipient stands out because of her enthusiasm, passion for learning, sense of responsibility, and leadership, academically, socially, and in her community. She tackles everything she does, including coursework, extracurricular activities, and community service with ease and grace. You rarely see her without a bright smile for everyone. Many people recognize her as our school ambassador, welcoming new students and getting them involved in student activities. She is a kind and compassionate young woman who always tries to include others. Her smile says it all. Her smile is friendly, inviting, and full of enthusiasm. Academically, she has taken the most rigorous courses available to her. In the classroom, she thrives in the environment that emphasizes critical thinking and discussion. She has held a position in the Student Association all 4 years of high school. She really does it all. Latin scholar, leader in science research, admired by her English teachers, impeccable in math, chemistry, and physics, leader of peers in essay, marching band, and section leader for clarinet, leader on the field in field hockey, and she gives her time to a host of charities in addition. Her family's values are reflected in her commitment and dedication to the community and service toward others. She's an exceptional young woman with fervent principles and character. I am proud to announce this year's female recipient of the memorial tablet is Grace Liberatore. Thank you so much, and congratulations to Grace. At this time, I'm going to invite our class advisors, Mrs. Jessica Walters and Mr. Mark Sirico, to come forward for the reading of the names of the class of 2020.
Good afternoon. Are you guys ready? Asher Law. Grace Amelia Liberatore. Lance Anders Brady. Philip Matthew Dulock. Brianna Estatico. Albert I.
Grace Margaret Anderson. Isabelle Rain Anderson. Abigail Lee Ansorge. Avery Vincent Archibald. Grace Arlene Aronson. Fitzroy Elwin Barnes. Vetica Corey Basavatios. Severio Joseph Battaglia. Seamus Ronan Banyan. Aidan Bennett. Juliana Bertolotti. Jenna Margaret Biscup. Anna Dawn Brightman. Justin Chance Brown. Eliana Teresa Bryan. Helen Rother Cahill. Luca David Capici. Christopher Matthew Carey. Alyssa Lynn Sarah Catalanato. Jacob Joseph Cotella. Ryan Nicholas Chang. Terrence Chen. Natalie Chumulera. Lily Catherine Childs. Tracy W. Childs. Demelia Amanda Choi. Miriam Chaka. Angelina Cicale. Victoria Colombo. Elizabeth Mary Comerford. Maria K. Comerford. Grace Marshall Cooper. Alexis Nia Pernacchio. Isabella Lourdes Correa Johnson. Juliana Lauren Portali. Dane Michael Crowley. Andrew S. Cruz. Nicholas Salanti Cruz. Jessica Leanne Kunha. Aiden Harrison Chaika. Aiden Joseph Jamori. Jordan Miles Davis. Joshua Michael Davis. Silverio Gianfranco De Chiaro. Frank Michael Del Ponte. Rosario Joseph DeVico V. Luke Davidson DeVivo. Daniela Faith DeYoung. Luke Thomas Diffley. Kaylee Wynn DiNatale. Rosanna DeStasio. Edward Joseph Dunhill. Lynn Sophie DeVorkin. Samir F. Ellis. Rachel Claire Elmer. Stephanie Louise Elmer. Julianna N. Estatico. Guy Henry Eustace. Jonathan Edelmiro Field. Jack Eagle Finnegan. Thomas Fitzpatrick. Alec Michael Forty. Nicholas John Franchini. Kimberly Allen Franco. Damian Jaquel Frank Jr. Lucas W. Fredbeck. Sanjna Serena Galba. Blake Renoir Ganaton. Rory Susan Gerhardt. Julia Jolie Geski Faraha. Matthew Schiffman Girizzo. Dylan Salvatore Giglio. Jennifer Jalaj. Lucas D. List. Taylor N. Goshi. Owen K. Gong, Dante Miguel Gorey. Luke Adrian Gould. Isabella P. Govea. Hannah Mayan Bretz. Henry Thomas Gutch. Hudson Lee Hardwick. Joelle Uriah King Hawthorne. Kathleen Ann Heaney. Meredith Lori Heller. Javier Hernandez. Sean Lee Holly. Defisa K. Hood. Charlotte Grace Howard. Caleb Michael James. Annika Sophia Ansruth Joanda. Morgan Ronnie Jenkins. Destiny Najee Johnson. Amy Maria Joseph. Ava Daphne Giuliano. Connor James Cagle. Emilie Kelly. Nicole Elizabeth Kelly. Taib Kawaja. Griffin Charles Kingsley. Cameron McGrew Kleinberger. Oliver Nathan Krulak. Bhakti Kulkarni. Ian Murray Custer. Jack Elias Lon. Anna Larson. Michael Tyning Lee. Nicholas Paul Liegi. Natalie E. Long. Justin Noah Langisa. Kemi Faith Langisa.
Joel J. McCool. James Burns Mahler. Daniel Peter Maloney. Anthony Joseph Mondra. Alexandra Rose Marriott. Liam Raymond Martin. Lucas Andres Matos. Daniel Matsina. Brian Joseph McFarland. Matthew Charles McInerney. Michael Anthony McInerney. Morgan McLean. Mark James McNenny. Emma McNulty. Isabelle Angelica Morellis. Jake Andrew Mermelstein. Matthew Charles Meyer. Helen Francis Meyerson. Alexander David Michaeloff. Joshua Peter Miller. Olivia Hope Min. Charles Vale Motorelli. Quinlan Claire Monaghan Morris. Cameron Grace Montanarella. Benjamin A. Morfitt. Zachary Aaron Morgan. Brandon Morey. Carolyn Milliken Moyle. Stephanie Ann Munn. Amanda Nicole Mustafa. Isabella Mylonas. Emily Yuko Nakayama. Spencer Joseph Nappy. James Howell Nespol. Silda Neza. Dylan Logan Nordstrom. Michael Joseph Northrup. Alexander Evenji Nutler. Sophia Caroline Nyborg. Justin Michael O'Byrne. Sean Seamus O'Brien. Sarah Jane O'Connor. Camilla Alice O'Keefe. Julia Quinn O'Neill. Arthur J. O'Sullivan. Morgan Elizabeth Orlando. Ray Panaritti. Alexandra N. Parker. Maeve Elizabeth Parmalee. Charles Nicholas Petarella. Aiden Palenkovic. Pamela Pennetta. Isabelle Perez. Kimberly Perez. Bridget Lisa Petty. Gianluca Archimede Pietranico. Jillian Taylor Pintoro. Sam D. Plunkett. Madison Victoria Popovic. Elizabeth Lynn Pataki. Emma Livingstone Harder. Juliana Karen Crisco. Joseph Edward Puchala. Christopher Betancourt Querido. Andrew Hugo Radvani. Andrew Joseph Rella. Matthew James Reynolds. Anthony Arthur Romano. Raphael Andrew Rosa. Julia May Rosenberg. Emma Knapp Russello. Bernadette Russo. Shaban Heather Sadler. Luke Saljanin. Morgan Elizabeth Sample. Julian Xavier Sanchez. Michael Anthony Sinella. Tyra Rose Santos. Claudia Ann Scampoli. Nicholas Anthony Sinertia Jr. Anna Elizabeth Champagnier Bowen. Marisa Sheldia. Justine Shkoza. Nicholas Earl Young Shakoski. Ama Siao. Gabriella and Alexandra Soares. Cassidy Ray Soto. Rose Spagnola. Matthias Spunberg. Samantha Alyssa Soiseau. Daniel Mitten Tabaz. Stephen Elliott Tabaz. Luke Tarazi. Catherine Joan Taubner. Joshua Matthew Timmerman. Matthew Frank Tiso. Nicholas Carlo Tiso. Yvonne Tomich. Reed Hunter Torrey. Stephen Bryant Torres. Cameron James Ubaldi. Pierce Aiden Upton. Cassie Rose Ventura. Brianna J. Vinci. Andre Anthony Walker. Anna Healy Walken. Casey Ann Bishop Walsh. Daly Catherine Walsh. Peter Way. Eli D. Whalen. Caroline Gray Winston. Charlotte Mirabelle Woods. Justin Victor Andrew Woodward. Sophie Shue. Perry Gwendolyn Zale.
It looks like time is on our side. So instead of coming at 4 o'clock to begin the diploma pickup, why doesn't the first group of students and their families come by the high school at 3:30 instead of 4, and then everybody else come the next half hour based on your alphabetic breakdown, since we're going to be able to leave a little bit early. So I'd like the attention of all of the seniors right now. Please listen to me before you do anything, okay? So this is the moment you've been waiting for. I know for a fact that your classes felt very strongly about doing everything together. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions set to us by our governor, we're still in a place where we cannot get out of our cars to cheer for each other. However, here are some directions so you can do one last thing together as a class. First, I want you to roll down your windows on the right side of the car or open up those sunroofs. Now listen to the following directions before doing what I ask. Take off your hat. And hold it up. After I finish reading the proclamation, lean out the window, wave your hat, and scream with joy at having graduated from Pella Memorial High School. Are you ready? All right, this is it. I need to see some hats out there. Come on.